And we welcome you to this edition of This Week in Umpiring. We'll have our weekly news segment that we've called The Rotation in just a couple of minutes, and we'll explain all these new names more so in a moment. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsors, the OSIP Foundation. That's osipfoundation.org, where outstanding sportsmanship is paramount. They're a 501c3 company, and you can give a couple of bucks to them. They'd be so grateful. And if you're having problems in the officiating world, you're feeling a little anxious about things that have to do with your officiating, why don't you give the great people at OSIP contact them at osipfoundation.org, and they'll set you straight. They'll put you in the right direction and get you the help that you need. Also like to thank our good friends at Out West Officials. And Gil, we were going to give away $50 to the people that called the show, but then I didn't think that we were going to get like 30 names of the show before we did the contest. So I contacted Dax at Out West, and I said, look, can we give, both of these people a $25 off? And you know what Dax says to me? Sure, let's give it to everybody. I said, what are you talking about? He says, let's give everybody $25 off. I said, you're out of your mind. He says, $25 off everybody by just sending Close Call Sports a message and saying, hey, I want $25 off. There's going to be a couple restrictions. It's got to be over an equipment purchase of over $150. But heck, you want that brand new Cobalt chest protector for $25 off? You're going to get it now for $174. You want to make your first order with Out West Officials, okay? Why don't you use the promo code OutWestCrew? Use the promo code OutWestCrew. They're going to give you 10% off your first order with Out West Officials. And, of course, you're going to want that new gator they've got, Gil. Look at this thing, $7.99 for this brand-new gator. And guess what, Gil? It's free shipping. CCS free ship, and you're going to get this with no shipping costs. That's CCS free ship. They're going to ship to anywhere in the 50 states. That's Alaska. That's Hawaii. That's the 50 states for absolutely zero. That's CCS free ship. Enter that at checkout, and you're going to get free shipping on everything under $7. They're already offering free shipping over $75. They were the first to do that, Gil. The first of the companies to do that, and now they're giving you free shipping on anything less than $75. I can't believe it. You're going to find out why Out West Officials is the place that Tmac gets his gear from, and I'm telling you right now, you should too. And Gil, it's time for the rotation, right? So let's explain real quick before we get to the rotation. We had some great names, and one of our people, Annie, on our Facebook page said use the rotation. I'm going to tell you what, we're going to use it for our news segment, and if you like our Facebook page and like Out West Officials, and send us a message, we're going to tell you how to get $25 off your next $150 purchase. And I'm going to be doing a lot of work the next few days to try to save you guys some money, courtesy of our good friends at Out West Officials. And without further ado, here's the news. We call it the rotation. Here's Gil Imber.
Thanks. Sounds like I'm hearing a helicopter go overhead, but it sounds to me like a drone. Speaking of which.
It's also, I left my AC on. I should turn that off.
Speaking of which, drone interrupts Twins the Pittsburgh Pirates game. This was a weird situation that happened over in Minnesota, and I don't know. We've had delays, we've had rain delays, and I just thought that this would be just an interesting little thing to look at. That there's an actual drone flying around in Minnesota, and they delayed the game because of it. So, just a little nonsense to start off the day.
Well, when we got started here, we didn't think we were going to have like an hour's worth of news. So much news that we don't have enough to cover it all on the website all week. We're too busy. And so we're going to cover it on our weekly news segment. But not only that, Gil, you got a drone delay, but how about a tarp delay? And not the one that you should have, because the Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles got to witness one of the most befuddling tarp disasters of all time. And what's interesting about this is the way team was winning. It was an official game. They couldn't get the tarp out on the field, so they suspended the game. I would like to figure that the home team messes up the tarp. They get to take advantage. They're behind. They should lose that game, in my opinion. And we had a similar situation, but the roles were reversed. And, of course, Gil, you being the great memory man that you are, you can tell me about that situation of a couple years back.
Well, you remember when San Francisco and the Cubs played in Chicago, and it was Hunter Wendelstedt who was the acting crew chief on that game. There was a huge rainstorm, rain delay. They had some problems with the tarp, but they tried to come back. Fields flooded. Hunter calls the game because they've completed the regulation. They're past 5 innings and all of that good news. So says, that's game. We're done. Giants, who would end up losing on that call, say, we're protesting because it wasn't the rain. It was the fact that the ground's crew's incompetent. Goes to the commissioner's office. They say, yeah, you know what? We're going to uphold the first protest in several decades. We are going to resume that game from the point of interruption. So interesting thing. Again, the rule is set, and I know that we have opinions on this. The rule is set so that it doesn't matter that it's the home team's fault. It doesn't matter that it's the home team ground crew that screwed up. The way the rule is set is that if there is what they call an equipment malfunction related to the tarpaulin on the field, what they will do is they will make it a suspended game even if it has completed the regulation time. You can't have a called game based on a tarp malfunction. It has to be a suspended game, even if, had it been just a simple rain delay, the game would have been called.
And look, anybody that's umpired professional baseball or high-level college baseball will tell you this. The tarp crew, they take pride. In every city, they're not trying to make a mistake like that, especially at the Major League Baseball level. This isn't one of those weird, oh, golly gee, the weird thing has happened where they can't get the tarp on and it helps the Washington Nationals. People that run the tarps, that pull the tarps on, it's called the tarp pull, and then they pull it off. So either way, it's a pull. And they want to be perfect. They want to get it in a certain amount of time. They brag about it. They talk about it. I've timed the tarps enough. I've talked to head groundskeepers. They come off the field. Hey, how did we do? What was the time? Sometimes they time themselves. It's a big deal. So let's be honest here. They're not trying to do it on purpose. However, it doesn't look good if the team that had the people mess up gets an advantage. We always talk at umpire school, don't take the crap end of the stick. In this case, the team that made the mistake is getting the advantage. And I don't think anybody's going to argue that that's probably not the way we want to go. Speaking of ways.
That's it. No, I was going to say that's absolutely right. And by the way, just to close out the book on it, the rule is 702A3 in 2014 when the Wendell Stick game happened. The rule was 412A. Either way, the rule said that light failure or malfunction of a mechanical field device under control of the home club is subject for a suspended, not a called game.
You ready for Tmac story time?
Yeah.
Time for Tmac story time. I can't say the city because they're still in the Can-Am League or what's now the Frontier League. But there was a general manager that gave me bad information on purpose. And I happen to have my wife at the game. And I know this area really well. And I'm like, the way the Clouds are, I think we're going to get crushed. This guy was ahead by 4 runs in the 6th inning. Their bullpen was kind of burnt, and he was trying to get a 1-up. Now, in indie ball, that can happen. And it's always helpful to look at a radar. That's why you just don't take a guy's word for it. And if he doesn't show you the radar, if he says the radar's been jammed and he says it's the raspberry, you might want to get a second opinion. So you do get people like that are trying to take advantage for whatever reason of you and of the situation. And those are the same people that are going to throw you under the bus when you let the sky open up and you can't pull the tarp, right? So you got to always navigate the potholes. But let's be clear. This is not one of those situations. And I always advocate for honesty and integrity because that gentleman who did that has still, to this day, never earned my full respect. And that's it. The show's over. No, it's not.
I keep forgetting how to unmute my microphone.
You forget that you're hosting this week?
Yeah, this is my week to host the show. We're off to a great start with Tim's 3-minute infomercial for Out West officials. Now featuring drone delivery to cause delays to all of your Major League games. If you want to get home early, order a drone from Out West officials.
Speaking of paranoia, right? Because we have the drone delay, let's get to Aaron Boone. So Aaron Boone has brought to the officials' attention in Philadelphia that there are fans outside of the stadium yelling at his players. He was very upset because Aaron Boone's a cranky pants about 98.9% of the time. Let's not remember that Aaron Boone had the worst score of anybody on rules tests. So his intelligence as far as the baseball rules go, usually not really on par with that of an umpire. But this is one, Gil, where if you go to an umpire and you say, my guys are being yelled at by people outside the stadium and they're making noise, the umpires have every right to laugh at you.
Yeah. You've heard the deal about shutting out the distractions and the outside. I mean, An umpire's deal is generally on the field itself. If a fan is getting extremely disruptive and vulgar in the stands, then you can take care of it with security. We asked our friend Bob Davidson about that in Philadelphia. If someone's getting annoying outside of the gate of the ballpark, you talk about rabbit ears, and they complain about the umpires for having rabbit ears all the time. I can't even imagine this.
That is a great point. I mean, that is the ultimate rabbit ears, that you can hear something 400 feet outside the, but let's be honest, people are dying to get into the games. If they want to be patriotic towards their team, enthusiastic towards their team, if they were at home and Yankee Stadium that was happening, I don't think the Yankees would be complaining. That's called home field advantage. And that wasn't the only time Aaron Boone was cranky this week. The Yankees took another run at a full-time official, and that didn't end well. But I wanted to talk for a second about the Angel Hernandez's call from earlier in the week that may have been a bit outside, and these camera angles versus Jerry Meals. There was the computer said the Angel Hernandez call that looked by the camera angle was about an inch off the plate. Then we had a Jerry Meals ejection where the computer made it look like it was a strike. Let's try to explain this to people once and for all. I'm not saying that the be-all end-all of the computer is right or wrong, but if you're gonna get mad at the umpire for making a correct call, you have to also get mad at the computer for making a correct call. Your argument can't be we need computers, even though they were wrong on this, we just want to get rid of the humans. Your argument has to be that you want the call to be right. And in this case, it was right. Now, in the Jerry Meals play, it looked like a strike because of the camera angle. However, it was not a strike. And one of the reasons for that is Major League Baseball, in their infinite wisdom to make things complicated, has decided not to do post-game processing. Whereas you look at that video, it is clear, even using the parallax angle, the parallax effect, that the pitch to Winker was over the back of his knee by any standard. So I would argue that even in that case, the computer was wrong. I've gone against that computer, and I've done well against it. But I can tell you that every swing is not the same, and every knee placement is not the same. So to make those PX values static is the wrong thing to do. And until we get a situation where we know where that guy's knee is on every pitch, and we can calculate everything instantaneously in 0.3 seconds, by the time, that is where we need to be. And we're not there yet. I tell people, you say, well, 1.5 seconds, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that the catcher doesn't know whether to throw it to third base on strike 3 or to throw it back to the pitcher. The catcher also doesn't know whether to throw through on a steal. So you cannot have the computer be over a second. At some umpires are telling me, including one during the playoffs last year, that it was over 2 seconds. We timed it over 2 seconds. Can you imagine on a 3-2 pitch on a borderline, the computer doesn't make a call? It's a mess. And that happened all the time in the Atlantic League last year. Nobody wants to talk about it because you're hamstrung to talk about it, but it happened all the time. I can tell you it did. And it was always, it was because, that guy didn't do it right, or it was always an excuse. Always an excuse. The bottom line is they haven't organized the quirks out of this system yet so bad that in a soccer game a few months ago, the one time they needed it, it malfunctioned. And they don't need it in soccer very often. So the question was, we have this in soccer and it's not working. With that big, huge ball, is it going to work in baseball when we need it all the time? Clearly, it's if it's 99%, that still means that there's 1% of the time where it's not going to register a pitch. Correct?
Correct. My question, as we look at this image right here of the side camera angle here, is we see that the pitch crosses the knee from this angle. We move the camera over a little bit, it might show something different. I can't tell definitively where the plate starts or ends. Again, we're at a parallax. We have an angle that we're trying to go through. But my question is more philosophical than this, because we clearly see that it might be below the front knee, but it's definitely above the back knee. So philosophically, when you're calling someone's zone, what's the knee? Which knee do you go by?
So I've been trying to figure this out for 15, 16 years of umpire on the independent professional level. And it's really, really difficult because I love calling breaking balls, and I've been doing it for years, because that I know clearly go over the front knee that the catcher can't catch. And, there are times that you insult the catcher. Hey, I'm not penalizing your catcher for not catching a great pitch. You just, you know, or their catcher, you know, you say it, you understand, like a manager's going to understand when they're going to look, it's a stage play, right? The ball is caught like this, pulled back up. Like a great example is Nick Marley. So before in the Oakland situation which we're going to get to now, I guess, let's get to Oakland against Houston. We have a bench clearing brawl. Nick Marley calls a great pitch, a strike. According to the computer, the whole ball's in the strike zone, and he gets crap for it because Dusty Baker's old school, right? He's old school. He handles it well. He gets ejected. But this is the pitch that everybody's complaining about. You know, that's the one that umpires don't get. It still here, he gets it, and he still has an ejection. You're darned if you do, and you're darned if you don't.
Yeah, this was a situation that Jesus the other day had that cross up where the catcher caught it terribly, and he balled it, and the computer had it right down the middle. I mean, it was by the numbers, only the numbers without any other context. It was at least 6 or 7 inches from being outside the strike zone. It was definitely down the middle by all conventional numbers. But the catcher caught it terribly, and he either didn't see it or whatever the reason was, he balled it, and you have an ejection. In Oakland, you have a situation where the catcher doesn't butcher it as badly, but he still reaches back to get it. Marley, who is calling to the computer, calls it a strike. It's the correct call.
Yeah.
And Dusty gets tossed for it. So exactly, if you call it one way, you're in trouble for not calling it to the computer. If you call it the other way to the computer, you're in trouble for not calling it based on how the catcher caught it. So if you're an umpire, no matter what you do, you're wrong.
So what I love is that the people with Jerry Meals, it shows it's a strike. Oh, no, you can't believe the camera angle. You know, the camera angles are off. But the Angel Hernandez one, where the computer says it's a strike, no. You got to believe the camera angle. The camera angle says it's off. The same people. Like, I'm nice. But we both notice that the same people that comment on some of these things, they say the same thing, but you don't even know. Look, I want computers to be part of this. I've made it clear. I don't want them to take over the game. I want the error to be corrected. If we have a challenge system, we can get that play fixed. I tell a couple of years ago in a college game, I had a guy in a 2-0 pitch I don't know why he didn't catch it. He thought it was a breaking ball, hit him in the mask. There's nobody on, right? Knocked him down. The coach from the team, this is a college game, is screaming at me, hey, you can't call it a strike. I said, way to have class. This guy's knocked out, and you're screaming at me. Nice work. And boom, we're done, right? But this is how people think. Like, right down the middle. Like, wasn't caught, can't be a strike. Welcome to 2020. We're calling the strike zone. If it's right down the middle, we have to get it, even if it's not caught. We are taught to track from a slotted area that we should be able to see, short of him standing up or the batter diving into the plate. We should be able to see everything from the release of the hand to the glove. That's how we're taught. And I don't care. I mean, I've been smoked in the mask when a catcher's whiffed on a pitch. Anybody that's umpired long enough has. I still track the pitch into my mask. I might blink, but I still track it. I don't just, decide at 50 feet, I'm done with this pitch because the catcher set up middle out and I'm all alone. But if they don't want you going with the catcher, and they don't, then you should be able to call this a strike. Look, I don't want to talk about this anymore, but this has to be called at this level, or else if we get 4 or 5 more of these, then the people that want automatic strike zones are justified in their disgust, because all they're going to do is show that pitch out of context, and we're going to have big problems in our fight of trying to keep plate umpires relevant in Major League Baseball.
Great point. And something else happened during that game. I don't know what it was. You remember?
Yeah, this is insane. I mean, Alex Cintron should be sat for a year. He should be sat for a year. From that day to a year, and he can come back. There's got no need for a hitting coach that's causing a riot on the field. And then what a horrible thing to do. He challenges the guy to a fight, then he backs up and watches other people fight. That's what bullies do, man. And these Houston Astros, man, I hate throwing this word around, but they bully people. They yell at you whenever they feel aggrieved. And if you feel bad for what they did and were caught for, you're the jerk. And I mean, this is just not conducive. I've been talking about it for weeks, both on these broadcasts and on our main page. And I'm really, really, I think there's something really bad going to happen here, because you're letting this boil over. And it was a great meme the other day that Loretta got suspended until 2042, and the Astros got an automatic bye until the ALCS. and with a 3-game. I mean, that's how people are thinking right now. It looks like there's a bias towards Houston. People used to talk about the New York Yankee bias. Well, now people think that there's a bias to Houston, and that's not good when it comes to integrity. Nothing to do with officials who have the integrity, has everything to do with the league office, who right now doesn't.
Well, my thought on the matter is Cintrone is not a player. He doesn't have a union. So if MLB wants to set the tone, this is an example. This is a time where they can't use the excuse of, oh, the union this, the union that. The MLPA will appeal. If you want to sit him for half a season, sit him for half a season and send the message. He is a coach. He doesn't have the protection. He is not as, let's face it, as important to the game as someone who's actually playing at the moment.
Oh, he has zero importance to the game.
So,
I mean, I know players would disagree, but I'm sorry. I've seen hitting coaches get fired all the time, middle of the season, and then the next day there's somebody new there. You can replace them. I mean, it's not that hard. Different philosophies all the time. And, one of the things I love talking to hitting coaches, you know what they all say? You can't talk to these guys. They all do their own thing. They all do their own thing. You can't talk to these guys. So, we'll see.
How many games does Joe Kelly get suspended for this?
8 more. 8 more for just smiling about it.
Yeah.
8 more for breaking his own window. What a long game he's been playing.
What a long game. But this is just another example, and I have to, a very rare situation. It got Ted Barrett to have his first ejections in quite some time.
2017.
Teddy doesn't throw people out, and well, I guess you're forced to this in this go around, right?
We got to teach Teddy how to wear that gator mask that Out West Officials is selling for $7.99, free shipping, CCS free ship. Teddy, it's just you pull it up a little bit, you just pull it up. Come on, come on. Oh, wear the mask, my man.
There's a great picture, and it's on the website. Please, closecallsports.com. Look at the ejection report for this particular instance. It is Teddy is talking to his crew, and his crew has the mask. He doesn't have it on. He has it around his neck. But more notably for me at least, he's like a head and shoulders taller than everyone.
Everybody, yeah.
That's got to get Tim McClellan out there.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Baker,
Jordan
Baker's looking like this
There's a great picture when you remember when Jordan Baker was on Jerry Meals' crew.
He is this year.
This was this was like 5 years ago. There's this great picture of them side by side.
Yeah, I mean, those two have worked together for a number of years. I thought it was a rib at first, but
they stuck with it.
They get along. You just don't know. I mean, it's not something I know about. But I will tell you this: that if Major League Baseball, I've said this 3 straight weeks, doesn't get a hold of the Astros, we're going to have some big problems here.
I think MLB, and by the way, Teddy, if you're looking for design tips, we got Jim Reynolds rocking the MLB logo.
And how about Carlos Torres too? I mean, he's wearing his winter masks.
Oh, it's great. Meanwhile, the masks that I ordered are stuck in purgatory. I ordered it from a city like 50 miles away, and it's stuck at the distribution center for the past week. I digress. Not with Out West officials though, because their shipping is.
Hey man, you know what? As I've always liked to tell everybody, man. If everybody just gave money to us, we wouldn't have to need sponsors. But the ability for us to make this all free to you is because we have sponsors. And, we make a joke about it, but that keeps the site free. And that means you don't have to pay to do anything. You have a Patreon page, and like I say, we're not raking in the cash here, but breaking even is a goal because teaching umpires has so much value to us. And when you can reach the mass audience that we do. And by the way, I've got to thank our people on YouTube, Gil. I just checking this. We've almost had in the last 24 hours 50,000 YouTube views on our YouTube page, as we're now over 2.5 million views, and about 1.5 million of those have been in the last 10 months. I mean, I can't thank our audience enough for what you're doing for us on our YouTube page. We're going to cross 3 million views, I would think, by the end of the month, and that's unbelievable. And thank you so much. And it makes it easy for us to do business with the people supporting us. And on that note, Gil, I think it's time for our call of the week.
Get a graphic for that eventually, but
and a sponsor. What about a sponsor? You know, we've got some real estate on that main page getting 10,000 views a day, you know, on this ECS page. You know, there's all sorts of people that need to sell stuff. Anyway,
here we go.
Let's take a look if we can maximize this call of the week. This is Jerry Meals to take a look at the play, then we'll break it down.
Well, this is, yeah, there we go.
Okay. So this is a back pick at first base, and we have an out call. And for all intents and purposes, I wish we could make that a little bigger. We can't maximize it on the screen, Gil.
So do I.
I guess not. So what happens on this play is the runner slides back into first base, but he slides into the foot of the first baseman. And one of the reasons I like this play is the skill set is the rule set is different at both the college and professional level. Obviously, at the high school level, Gil, this is obstruction. You cannot be in possession of the ball. You have to be in possession of the ball, correct? So he doesn't have possession. He's blocking his foot. So we're going to have obstruction on this play. But also in college, we also have obstruction here. So this is going to be obstruction. He's blocking the base without the ball, and he's tagged right there before his hand got to the base. And this is a really good call by Jerry Mills. I've missed this call. I've missed this call with white shoes on a number of occasions because you're just looking for the hand to stop. And you have to slow your timing down, make sure you see the whole play. And the other key to this is where Meals is. Let's take a look at his positioning on this play. What an angle. That is the keyhole, folks. You know, if he's 2 steps to his left, he's looking at a door. If he's 2 steps to his right, he's looking through a runner. So that's why I call it the keyhole. He's got a certain amount of room to be in to be able to see the play. And when he's in that spot, the whole play opens up and you get a great view. You cannot beat that with a stick. Great view, great call by the crew chief, Jerry Meals. Mr. Meals, congratulations. You are number 41. You have the Close Call Sports Call of the Week.
Yeah. At the end of the show, I just want to plug that we talked about parallax earlier. I'm going to do another video about parallax because it's a really scientific thing again. It's about camera angles and how deceptive they are. We talked about it earlier. I'm going to get into more of the science on that at a later time. We do have videos of the parallax angle relative to fair and foul calls, especially there was a home run at Fenway in the left field corner near the Monster. Did it go over the pole? Was it fair foul? And the camera angle's up the first baseline. It's all on the YouTube channel. Just go to our YouTube channel, and then if you go into our profile page, there's a way to search within the channel. Just write the word parallax, P-R-A-L-L-A-X, and you can see it. We also talked about it relative to check swings, relative to fair foul and the chalk line. And we're going to do another one on the strike zone itself. I didn't think we'd need to, quite frankly, but with the computer being there and the little box that everyone likes. But if people are starting to say, oh, if Angel called it a strike and the computer called it a strike, then the box must be wrong, and this is the camera angle to prove why that is. If that's the argument that people are going to make, then I guess it's time to do a parallax video for the strike zone.
You know, what does Bill Engvall say? You can't fix stupid? I mean, you can't. I mean, if you're going to say that it works for, if the computer says Jerry Meals got it wrong, it does, but, the computer says Angel got it right, so got it wrong. What do you say to that? I mean, you can't say anything to that. Those are people, and one of the great things about becoming more mainstream, and we're not nearly mainstream, but getting people that come watch our videos that like to sometimes not say nice things about umpires, or that are a fan of one of the teams, and they say everything great about umpires until it happens to their team, and the umpires stink, is that we're going to get that a little bit. But if we can educate those people slowly, surely, maybe they can educate some people, and they can educate some people, well, then we've probably educated about 0.1% of the population, and we need to do 99.9. But at least it's a start. Yeah,
exactly. Anyway, good show again for this week in the news, and we're going to get a fancy graphic for our title eventually. But until that happens, we'll do our best to rival our good friend Chris Welsh for his shameless plugging of BaseballRulesAcademy.com on his Reds broadcast. We're going to try to do that too.
Hey man, everybody should go to that site. It's a great site. They're fantastic. We try to get Chris on. He's obviously very busy, but I love promoting the other podcasts and the other people doing it. When you believe that your stuff is good and you want other people to do the same thing, is try to build them up. That's what we do here. we're not trying to take other people down doing the same stuff. We want as many people doing this as we can. Let's get the word out. I love, all these other podcasts that cropped up and they're talking umpiring and this. The more dialogue we get going, the more we talk about it, the more we think through it, the better we're going to be. I always tell people, UTD umpires, man, go check out that website. Jeff Gosney was on the show. He and his staff over there, they put together these videos every day. And you have some of the biggest big-time college baseball umpires talking about plays every day on UTD umpires. I mean, we're trying to promote all these other sites and do the right thing. And maybe at some point, Gil, we'll make a dent in this. We've been mentioned on the LA Dodgers broadcast and a couple of the others, Milwaukee Brewers pregame, radio. So who knows? Maybe we'll get people believing some of the stuff that we're trying to, the factual stuff that we're trying to sell them.
Yeah, it's funny. Ross Porter, who used to be a radio guy for the Dodgers, and he's now writing for the Times. He does a weekly baseball column. He called me for a rules question. I get called by different people, different newspapers, and all that. But the point is, the more people that do this, the greater the chances are that they're going to give umpires a fair shake. And
100%.
I think, and that's a great way to end the show, because speaking of fair shakes, and I don't have the audio because Zoom doesn't like to do audio that well, but on the website, we do have an article about Nate Tomlinson, who made his MLB debut in Texas, and he had 3 overturns in his first game jitters. And this is the exact opposite approach, by the way, that Angel received during his 3 overturn playoff game. In this one, the broadcasters were a lot kinder, and really Tom Grieve gave him so many props and really gave him some encouragement. And so, of course, he comes back a few days later, works the plan. I don't know how he did, but the point is, keep doing it, because one game is should not be the end all. And the message is really uplifting. If you have a chance, Grieve said it's easy to sit back and second guess an umpire, to yell at an umpire. They've got a family. To sit up here, take pot shots at the umpire isn't right. He wouldn't be here if he hadn't done a great job for 10 years. He was the plate umpire at the Futures game. Those are honors they hand out to guys who are exemplary. So this was some real show of class and exactly the right type of message that we like to see from the Texas broadcasters talking about Nate.
Yeah, Gil, this was a fantastic video that you did. I hope everybody gets a chance to watch it. And also, if you click on the comment section or you scroll down, we featured a comment from Bob Davidson. Now, Bob doesn't know Nate Tomlinson, and he wasn't the only guy to reach out and say, a couple of guys, hey, do you have Nate's now? And I don't, because they wanted to, say something nice to the kid. The old school guys are just unbelievable. They're so nice and so giving. And what Bob said right there, I hope Nate gets a chance to read it. I hope he gets a chance to feel all the love that the brothers and sisters in blue and black were able to give one of their own. It was one of the things that I was proudest of most that we've done here at Close Call. I don't like to focus on the negative, but when everybody picks somebody up like we did, Mr. Tomlinson, I hope that this kid I hope everybody can make it to the big leagues, but I hope this kid eventually settles in, gets a full-time job. And let's not forget what Dale Scott said and numerous others on the podcast. It takes years to settle in to become a big league umpire. It takes years. We're putting 20, 30 guys in spots that they have 4 months ago, no clue was coming. And now we're analyzing them like they've been 20-year Major League Baseball umpires. Let's settle down. Let these kids grow in the game. And I think that for the most part, they'll find their level and they'll be okay.
Yeah. How about Bob's memory? Nate, he's talking about his experience, and Noah Yingling says, Bob writes about, there's some Saturday I was in Detroit. It was the very first pitch, first inning, and they challenged my call. It was Altuve was the batter. He's throwing out all these specifics. So Noah Yingling fact checks him, and he's like, hey, Bob, you were absolutely right, 100%. I can't even remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday.
Bob will tell you things that you won't believe. He remembers watching Beyond the Field for Ozzie Smith committing 3 errors in the same game. You know, I mean, he'll tell you exactly what plays it were. They committed 2 errors on the same play. This is the greatest defensive shortstop of all time, according to most. Committed 2 errors in the same play. Look, we can talk forever. We try to keep this to 30 minutes. We thought that we were going to keep it to 15 minutes when we first started, but there's so much news every week. Maybe we'll have a week where there's no COVID. All the games will be played. Nobody will have anything strange going on and all that. But Gil, once again, you're the best.
Hey, Rob Manfred just got thrown out, so.
and you are also the best at home. We thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week right here at this same time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Hawaiian, and 8 a.m. Bali time. Okay, until next time, this is Tim McCaffrey for Gil and Burr and our entire Close Call crew signing off. Until next time, happy umpiring, everyone.